Biden commutes life sentence of Leonard Peltier, Native American activist imprisoned for 50 years. Now, I don't know if he did it or not. Um, I'm not going to claim to know, but I thought it was interesting that after this man had become old and decrepit and close to death, that Biden would be like, "Okay, you can go home, but you're still guilty." I found that interesting. I think Biden was trying to score points for the Democrats essentially, but I don't think the Democrats really care about this.
No, they don't.
Joe Biden, in one of his final acts as president Monday, commuted the life sentence of Native American rights activist Leonard Peltier, who was convicted of killing two FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation and of escaping federal prison. Uh, I don't think I'm that familiar. I'm familiar with the story, but not that familiar. I don't know how he could have escaped a federal prison. Peltier, who is 80 years old, has been in prison for almost 5 decades. He has been in declining health in recent years from diabetes, hypertension, partial blindness from a stroke, and bouts of COVID. In a statement, the White House said the communication will enable Peltier to spend his remaining days in home confinement, but will not pardon him for his underlying crimes. So, Leonard's daughter said, "I'm just thankful that he had the balls and guts to do it." I find that funny.
But the man's nearly dead. They've been trying to get him out of prison for decades.
"It's finally over. I'm going home," Peltier said. "I want to show the world I'm a good person with a good heart." And he likely is. I don't know him. I can't say, but it's likely true, especially once you're in that shape and hitting that age,
I mean, they've been trying to.
Yeah, this is 10 minutes. Might skip around a little bit, but it'll give us a general idea. This was recorded in 1987.
This Tuesday in Costa Mesa, California, Willie Nelson, Joni Mitchell, Robin Williams, Chris Christopherson, and others will stage a benefit concert for a man convicted of murder, for a man they believe never got a fair chance at justice. The case of Leonard Peltier has received international attention, but little publicity here in the U.S. It's a story of conflict and contradiction, and on both sides, passion. Sunday services at the Cathedral of St. John the holds his
Skip
opinion
hits. I'm going to skip ahead a little here.
of Leonard Peltier as firmly today as he did 10 years ago when he
of standing up for my people's rights. I'm guilty of trying to stop the oppression that I've experienced and I've seen my people experience. Those are the things I'm guilty of.
He didn't say murder.
I'm not. I never killed nobody. I never killed anybody in my life.
But back in 1977, Peltier was convicted of killing two FBI agents. Jack Kohler and Ron Williams had just been assigned to deal with the growing unrest on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. The area had been a hotbed of violence since the 1972 siege of Wounded Knee.
Our crime is being Indian.
A group of traditionalist Indians, calling themselves the American Indian Movement, took up arms to protest the policies of a government-supported and largely unpopular tribal council. In the ensuing years, government agencies and Indians clashed. It was described as a time of virtual civil war. Why were you armed?
We're all everybody's armed around there.
Why?
Just state of conditions that we were living under.
Peltier says it was in June of 1975, against this backdrop, that the incident occurred involving Kohler and Williams.
The agents came down in this direction following in a vehicle.
Attorney Bruce Ellison has been defending Leonard Peltier passionately for the past 12 years.
Agents drove their cars up to this position and stopped. Got out of their vehicles. Agent Kohler got his sniper rifle, and they began firing up towards the residences.
That scenario, says prosecutor Lynn Crooks, is just simply not true.
Mr. Peltier was the one that they were following into this area. Mr. Peltier stopped his vehicle, got out of the vehicle, started firing at these two agents, and then it was basically a massacre.
The two factions agree on only one issue. After a 6-hour shootout, one Indian and two FBI agents were dead. The agents had been shot from a distance, finished off at close range.
Basically, what they found is two guys lying face down beside Jack Kohler's Bureau Auto. The automobile it looks like a sieve. Both of them have their faces shot off. I mean, they're not recognizable people anymore.
Approximately 200 government agents arrived on the scene that day, many within minutes. They surrounded the estimated 20 Indians.
You can still see some 12 years later, some of the bullet holes from that day.
Once they found that those agents were dead, yeah, the agents and FBI and law enforcement basically hosed the area down with lead. There's no question about that.
I participated in the shooting when I was bringing the women and children out of the house. When the bullets were flying around us, I did, yes.
Do you know whether you killed anybody?
I did not kill nobody. I know I didn't.
How do you know you didn't kill anyone?
Because the area I was shooting at, there was nobody wounded or killed.
He is responsible. He was there. He was firing. It was his objective. He's the oldest guy. By his own claim, he's the leader.
All the Indians escaped, and Peltier fled to Canada. Along with 3 other Indians, he was indicted for the murders of the agents. 2 of the Indians were later acquitted in a trial. Charges were dropped against a third. That left the FBI without a murderer. And according to Peltier, it also left him to take the rap.
The FBI obviously was out to convict somebody for shooting their 2 agents. That's their job. And I would say that it's fair to assume that they had a little more enthusiasm for the investigation than they would if it had been John Doe Public.
According to Crooks, there is more than sufficient evidence to keep Peltier locked up. He was at the scene of the crime, and a bullet casing found in the agent's car matched the type of gun Peltier was firing. But many say Peltier was denied a fair trial. Among them is...
You're muted.
I just played that so we'd get a grasp on the situation we're speaking about. Christopher Wray, who became FBI director in 2017 before he retired Monday as President Donald Trump took office for his second term. He told him, "Mr. President, I urge you in the strongest terms possible, do not pardon Leonard Peltier or cut his sentence short." So, by that person that was on the video saying he was definitely guilty, he even admitted that they were more at it because it wasn't a white man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember reading about this in school, and the way that the native people's encampment was, unless they had long range rifles, they couldn't have shot that damn far.
Well, first of all, I'm not certain about this, but I would think the FBI has no jurisdiction on native land.
As far as I know, they don't.
And, the natives argued they began shooting them first. Leonard Peltier claims he was walking out children and women when they started firing. And they were all armed. The tensions were already high between them, so I would imagine that's why they stayed armed. But here it says, dozens of people had participated in the gunfight. At trial, 2 co-defendants were acquitted after they claimed self-defense. When Peltier was tried separately in 1977, no witnesses who could identify him as the shooter were presented. No one could name him as the shooter, and there were dozens of shooters there. And unknown to his defense lawyers at the time, the federal government had withheld a ballistics report indicating the fatal bullets didn't come from his weapon. So they lied about it. It didn't even come from his gun.
They just wanted somebody to make an example out of, and they used him.
And they want to pretend like they care about it now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know he's been trying to get out of prison for decades, and now that he's about dead now, they're going to finally let him out under house arrest. I thought when I first read about this in school, I thought he got a bum deal even then, and I was a kid.
I don't know if he actually shot anyone down or not, but he clearly got a bad deal with bad treatment, a lot of lies and all of that. So that accounts for something, even if he was guilty, which I don't know if he is or not. They had a shootout. They let the other ones go, basically. And then it came down on him.
Yeah. But him spending so long in prison like that, he's gonna get out to a world that he don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
seem alien to him.
when you're released to the world as it is today, I mean, I guess if you're 80 in bad shape, you're just gonna sit back and take it easy and watch a lot of TV or something like that, probably. Um, but yeah, every time you encounter this new world, you're gonna have the feeling like put me back. I just want to be back home, and at that point, prison becomes home. I mean, I've had a lot of relatives that spent decades in there, and uh, they sometimes they kind of sure they wanted out, but then when they get out, they kind of felt they were drawn back up until to a certain point. Now, these days they say it's not worth going back to prison anymore, which is that's a hell of an ironic thing to say.
Yeah.